Dear friends, happiness is a state of the heart, not a mere condition of circumstances. It is found not in the absence of trials, but in how we respond to them. We are called to rejoice not because of our circumstances, but in spite of them. Let us not be ruled by fleeting emotions, but by a deep and abiding peace that transcends any hardship we may face. Gratitude is not simply a response to blessings, but a practice that shapes our character and our lives. To cultivate gratitude in every moment means to train ourselves to recognize the gifts in even the smallest aspects of our existence. The discipline of gratitude is a deliberate choice, and it transforms how we see the world around us. When we train our hearts to recognize the goodness of God in every circumstance, we experience a deeper sense of peace and joy. At the core of gratitude lies the recognition of God's hand in all things. It is easy to be grateful for the good things that come our way, but true gratitude involves looking beyond the circumstances and acknowledging the presence of God in both our blessings and our struggles. When we learn to see every moment, both joyous and painful, as an opportunity to glorify God, we can begin to cultivate a heart of thanksgiving, regardless of the situation. Gratitude also teaches us to be mindful. In our busy, fast-paced lives, it is easy to overlook the small, beautiful moments that surround us every day. Gratitude invites us to slow down, to take a deep breath, and to be present. It calls us to recognize the beauty in the mundane, the warm embrace of a loved one, the quiet of a sunrise, the kindness of a stranger. When we are mindful of these simple gifts, we can cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude in every moment. Gratitude also nurtures humility. When we recognize the goodness of God in our lives, we are reminded that we are not self-sufficient. Everything we have, from our talents and resources to the very breath we breathe, is a gift from God. Cultivating gratitude leads us to a place of humility, where we acknowledge that we are dependent on God for all things. This humility fosters a spirit of thankfulness that is rooted in the understanding that we deserve nothing, and yet are given so much. As we grow in gratitude, we begin to notice the interconnectedness of our lives with others. Gratitude brings awareness to the contributions of those around us, from family and friends to the larger community. It fosters a spirit of thankfulness not only for what we have, but also for those who make our lives richer. A heart of gratitude compels us to express appreciation and to bless others in return, creating a cycle of goodness and generosity. Gratitude also strengthens our emotional resilience. Life will inevitably present challenges, and without the practice of gratitude, it's easy to become overwhelmed by difficulty. However, when we cultivate gratitude, we develop the ability to endure hardship with a deeper sense of hope. Gratitude gives us a firm foundation on which we can stand in the face of adversity, knowing that God is faithful, and His goodness remains even in the darkest times. Moreover, gratitude has a profound impact on our relationships. A heart that is filled with gratitude overflows with kindness, compassion, and love. It is difficult to hold grudges or bitterness when we are focused on the blessings in our lives. Gratitude fosters a spirit of forgiveness because it reminds us that we, too, have been forgiven much. As we become more grateful, we are better equipped to extend grace and mercy to others. One of the most powerful benefits of cultivating gratitude is its ability to draw us closer to God. When we express thankfulness to God for His goodness, we acknowledge His sovereignty and His love for us. Gratitude opens our hearts to deeper communion with Him, drawing us into a place of worship and awe. In recognizing God's provision, we align our hearts with His will and begin to see more clearly the path He has set before us. Finally, the act of cultivating gratitude is transformative. It begins as a conscious effort, but as we practice it daily, it becomes a natural part of who we are. Gratitude becomes a habit, and in turn it transforms our hearts, minds, and lives. We begin to see the world through a lens of thankfulness, and that perspective shapes everything we do. Gratitude becomes a way of life, permeating every moment and every interaction, changing us from the inside out. In conclusion, to cultivate gratitude in every moment is to embrace a life of intentional thankfulness. It is a discipline that transforms our hearts, minds, and relationships. By focusing on the goodness of God, the beauty of the present moment, and the abundance that surrounds us, we learn to be content and joyful in every circumstance. Gratitude not only enriches our lives, but draws us closer to the heart of God, where true peace and joy are found. In life, we are all faced with challenges, difficulties, and times of hardship. It's easy to become consumed by our troubles, allowing them to overshadow the good that still exists in our lives. However, the key to peace and joy lies in our ability to shift our focus from our troubles to our blessings. This change in perspective is not about ignoring or denying the reality of our struggles, but about choosing to see beyond them to the gifts and opportunities that still surround us. The first step in shifting our focus is acknowledging the reality of our troubles. It's not about minimizing pain or pretending that everything is perfect. Life's difficulties are real, and it's natural to feel the weight of them. However, when we dwell on our troubles, they begin to consume our thoughts, emotions, and actions. This focus on negative circumstances can lead to a spirit of despair, where we feel powerless to move forward. Recognizing the reality of our struggles is important, but it must not be where we choose to remain. Once we acknowledge the presence of our troubles, the next step is to look for the blessings that are still present, even in the midst of hardship. It may seem difficult at first, but there is always something to be thankful for. Perhaps it is the support of loved ones, a warm meal, or the beauty of nature surrounding us. Gratitude opens our eyes to the blessings we have, no matter how small they may seem. By consciously seeking out these moments of goodness, we begin to shift our mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. Shifting our focus requires a change in perspective. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that our troubles define us, but the truth is, they are only a small part of our story. Our true identity is not found in our struggles, but in the blessings we receive, the love we give, and the hope we carry. When we shift our focus from our troubles to our blessings, we allow ourselves to be defined by the goodness of God, not by the hardships we face. Another powerful way to shift focus is through the practice of mindfulness. Often we allow ourselves to get caught up in thoughts of the past or worries about the future, both of which can lead to anxiety and stress. However, when we focus on the present moment, we are able to recognize the blessings that are right in front of us. Whether it's the simple act of breathing, the warmth of the sun on our face, or the sound of a loved one's voice, there are countless blessings in every moment. Mindfulness teaches us to appreciate what we have now rather than longing for something else or dwelling on what we lack. Additionally, shifting our focus to blessings helps us to build resilience. Life's challenges will always come, but when we train ourselves to see the good in every situation, we develop a greater ability to navigate hardship. A person who focuses on their blessings is better able to face adversity with strength and hope. Rather than becoming overwhelmed, they see each trial as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Gratitude in the face of adversity becomes a powerful tool that allows us to persevere, knowing that we are never truly alone in our struggles. One of the greatest blessings we can recognize in times of difficulty is the presence of God in our lives. Even in our darkest moments, God's love and faithfulness remain constant. Shifting our focus from our troubles to His blessings reminds us that He is always with us, providing strength, comfort, and hope. Our circumstances may change, but God's promises never do. By focusing on His unwavering goodness, we find the courage to face whatever comes our way. Furthermore, shifting our focus from troubles to blessings cultivates peace. Worry and fear arise when we dwell on problems, but peace is found when we choose to focus on what is good, pure, and praiseworthy. Peace is not the absence of difficulties, but the presence of a heart that trusts in God's faithfulness despite those difficulties. As we train our minds to seek out the blessings, we experience a peace that surpasses understanding, knowing that we are held in the hands of a loving and faithful God. Lastly, shifting our focus from troubles to blessings strengthens our joy. Joy is not the same as happiness. Happiness is often based on external circumstances, while joy is a deeper, more lasting contentment that comes from within. When we choose to focus on our blessings, we open the door for joy to flood our hearts regardless of what we may be facing. Joy is a byproduct of gratitude, and it allows us to see beauty and goodness even in the midst of trials. In conclusion, shifting our focus from our troubles to our blessings is a choice, one that can transform our lives. It requires intentionality, mindfulness, and a commitment to see the goodness of God in all things. This shift allows us to face life's challenges with a heart full of gratitude, resilience, and peace. It enables us to navigate difficulties with strength, knowing that the blessings in our lives far outweigh the troubles we face. And in doing so, we find ourselves growing stronger, more joyful, and more aligned with the heart of God. Life is fleeting. Time passes swiftly, and what we once thought permanent or unchangeable often proves to be temporary. The truth of life's transitory nature can be both humbling and freeing. When we grasp the fact that everything in this world, whether relationships, wealth, or our own circumstances, is subject to change, we begin to see the value in living with intention and purpose. Life's fleeting nature calls us to reevaluate our priorities and find greater meaning in the time we have. From the moment we are born, we are moving toward an inevitable end. Life unfolds in stages, and each stage comes with its own joys, challenges, and lessons. The seasons of life change just as the seasons of the year change, and the things we value today may not hold the same importance tomorrow. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, we are reminded to cherish the present moment. We are also reminded that life is a gift, one that we should not take for granted. This recognition of life's transitory nature also encourages us to let go of what no longer serves us. Whether it is grudges, fears, or material possessions, holding on to things that are not of eternal value keeps us rooted in the past and prevents us from embracing the future. When we understand that everything in this world is temporary, we are more willing to release what weighs us down. Letting go allows us to make room for new opportunities, growth, and peace. Moreover, knowing that life is transient leads us to embrace change rather than fear it. So often we resist change because it disrupts our sense of security. Yet, change is the very thing that propels us forward in life. Whether it is a change in our personal circumstances, our career, or even the natural world, change opens new doors and brings fresh experiences. When we understand that nothing stays the same forever, we begin to welcome change as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Understanding the transient nature of life also helps us develop a sense of humility. The things we strive for, wealth, status, success, are fleeting. In the grand scheme of time, these things often fade into obscurity. This realization encourages us to live with humility, knowing that our achievements and possessions are temporary. True worth is not found in external circumstances, but in the inner character we build, the values we uphold, and the love we give. This knowledge also invites us to consider our legacy. What will remain after we are gone? What will others remember about us? Will it be the material things we amassed or the way we treated people? Life's transitory nature calls us to invest in what lasts: relationships, kindness, compassion, and faith. By focusing on building a legacy of love and integrity, we ensure that, though we may be here for a short time, our impact will be felt for generations. In light of the fleeting nature of life, we also develop a deeper sense of gratitude. The more we acknowledge that life is temporary, the more we appreciate the moments, people, and experiences that make life worthwhile. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, allowing us to enjoy the present more fully. It reminds us that even in the midst of struggles, we can still find blessings to be thankful for. Finally, understanding the transitory nature of life leads us to seek deeper meaning and fulfillment. We begin to recognize that the pursuit of worldly success and pleasures will never fully satisfy the longings of our hearts. True fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our values, seeking a higher purpose, and nurturing a relationship with the divine. This understanding prompts us to seek things that will endure beyond this life, love, wisdom, and spiritual growth, so that, when our time here is done, we leave with a sense of peace and fulfillment. In conclusion, the transient nature of life is a powerful truth that shapes the way we live. It encourages us to cherish the present, let go of what does not serve us, and prioritize what truly matters. By embracing change, cultivating gratitude, and living with purpose, we find deeper fulfillment in the fleeting moments we have. And in this awareness we come to realize that, though life is short, it is also beautiful, and the legacy we leave behind is shaped by the choices we make today. One of the keys to contentment is learning to let go of comparison. In the age of social media, we are bombarded with images of other people's seemingly perfect lives, which can lead us to feel inadequate or dissatisfied with our own. The temptation to compare ourselves to others is natural, but it is a sure path to discontent. Each person's journey is unique, and no one else's life can be the standard by which we measure our own worth. Contentment grows when we stop measuring ourselves against others and begin to embrace our own path, knowing that we are exactly where we need to be. In addition, contentment grows when we practice mindfulness, being fully present in the moment rather than dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. When we constantly look back with regret or forward with anxiety, we rob ourselves of the peace that can be found in the here and now. Contentment comes when we learn to savor the present, to appreciate the small joys that make life meaningful, and to let go of the constant longing for something else. The practice of gratitude is inseparable from contentment. When we focus on what we have instead of what we lack, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of satisfaction. Each day provides countless blessings, no matter how small, and it is in acknowledging and giving thanks for these gifts that contentment grows. Gratitude shifts our perspective from scarcity to abundance, reminding us that we have enough and more. By cultivating a grateful heart, we increase our capacity to be content, regardless of our circumstances. Contentment also involves finding purpose in what we do. When we feel aligned with our values and our purpose, we experience a deep sense of fulfillment. This purpose does not have to be grand or world-changing. It can be found in the smallest of acts. Whether it's being present for our family, excelling at our work, or contributing to our community, when we connect our actions with a sense of meaning, we find satisfaction. The key is to focus on the impact of our actions rather than the recognition or reward that might come from them. The concept of eternal hope also provides comfort in the face of death. In a world where death is a feared and uncertain reality, eternal hope gives us assurance that death is not the end. The death of a loved one or the prospect of our own death can cause great sorrow. However, the hope of eternal life with God in a perfect, restored world brings comfort beyond measure. As the Apostle Paul wrote, "For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain," Philippians 1:21. Death no longer holds the same terror when viewed in light of the eternal hope we have in Christ. Eternal hope also helps us in our relationships with others. When we see each person as an eternal soul, our perspective changes. No longer do we view others merely as fleeting individuals who may pass through our lives. We recognize that they too are created with purpose and are part of the eternal story. This recognition leads to greater compassion, patience, and forgiveness in our relationships. We understand that, just as we are on a journey toward eternity, so too are they. This mindset challenges us to love others with an eternal perspective, offering grace and support as they, too, navigate their own struggles. This hope gives us perseverance in the face of opposition and persecution. When the world criticizes us, when we are misunderstood or rejected for our faith, it is easy to become discouraged. But eternal hope reminds us that we are not working for the approval of this world. Our worth is not measured by human standards or accolades, but by our relationship with God. We are assured that our efforts are not in vain. Jesus himself warned his followers, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world," John 16:33. With eternal hope in our hearts, we can stand firm in our faith, knowing that the reward is far greater than any temporary hardship. Furthermore, eternal hope allows us to approach life's challenges with a sense of joy and peace. While it is natural to feel sorrow or frustration in the face of adversity, an eternal perspective reminds us that joy is not dependent on our circumstances. Joy is found in the knowledge that our future is secure, that we are part of a much larger story, and that we are being shaped for something greater than we can fully understand. This joy is not fleeting, like the happiness the world offers, but is deeply rooted in the eternal promises of God. Finally, maintaining an eternal perspective enables us to find contentment in the midst of lack. The world tells us that contentment comes from acquiring more money, more success, more possessions. However, the Apostle Paul teaches us a different lesson. I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. Philippians 4:11-12. When we fix our eyes on the eternal, we realize that true contentment comes not from what we have or don't have, but from knowing that God is enough and that our hope is secure. In this world of constant noise and never-ending distractions, finding inner peace can often feel like a distant dream. The demands of daily life, the weight of personal struggles, and the pressures of society can stir our hearts into turmoil. Yet the path to peace lies not in external circumstances, but in cultivating a deep trust in God and seeking His presence through prayer. Prayer, the act of communicating with God, is not merely a ritual, but an opportunity to surrender our fears, burdens, and anxieties into His loving hands. Through prayer we find comfort, clarity, and above all, peace. The key to experiencing true peace begins with acknowledging that we are not in control of every situation. In a world that prizes independence and self-reliance, it can be difficult to admit that we need help. Yet, in our moments of vulnerability, when we come before God with open hearts, He provides a peace that transcends our understanding. Philippians 4:6-7 teaches us that when we present our requests to God through prayer, His peace will guard our hearts and minds. This peace is not based on our circumstances, but is a deep, soul-satisfying assurance that God is in control. Trusting in God is an essential component of this peace. While prayer is the means by which we communicate with God, trust is the foundation upon which that communication rests. It is one thing to pray in times of trouble, but it is another to fully trust that God will answer in His perfect way and timing. Trusting God means releasing our tight grip on our lives and acknowledging that His wisdom far surpasses our own. It requires faith in His goodness, His love for us, and His promise to work all things together for our good. Romans 8:28. One of the greatest barriers to inner peace is anxiety. The constant worry over what may or may not happen can cloud our minds and make it difficult to experience the peace God offers. Yet the Bible instructs us to cast our anxieties on Him because He cares for us. 1 Peter 5:7. Anxiety often arises when we forget to trust that God is already working on our behalf. When we entrust our worries to God, we are freed from the burden of trying to control everything and can rest in the assurance that He is at work. Another aspect of prayer that leads to inner peace is its ability to center our hearts and minds. In the hustle and bustle of life, our thoughts often scatter in 100 different directions. But when we take the time to spend quiet moments in prayer, we are invited to refocus our attention on the One who holds all things together. Prayer has a calming effect on the soul because it brings us into direct communion with the Creator. In these moments we are reminded of His sovereignty and our identity in Him, which gives us the peace to face whatever lies ahead. In prayer we must also learn to listen. Too often we approach prayer as a one-way conversation where we only speak to God, asking for help or guidance. However, prayer is also an opportunity for God to speak to us. As we make time to listen, we open our hearts to the peace that comes from hearing His voice. In these moments, God may remind us of His promises, gently correct us, or provide clarity on the path ahead. Listening to God in prayer helps us align our hearts with His will, which brings peace, even in the most uncertain of circumstances. In addition to surrender, forgiveness is a crucial step in finding peace. Unforgiveness creates turmoil within our hearts, preventing us from fully experiencing the peace that God desires for us. Through prayer, we can ask God for the strength to forgive those who have wronged us, releasing the burden of bitterness and resentment. In doing so, we align ourselves with God's heart, which is always full of mercy and grace. As we forgive others, we allow God's peace to rule in our hearts, making space for His love to flow freely. Trusting in God's provision is another essential aspect of seeking peace. Too often we become anxious about our needs, whether financial, emotional, or relational, but God promises to provide for us according to His riches in glory, Philippians 4:19. When we trust in His provision, we can rest assured that He will meet our needs in His perfect way. Trusting in God's provision frees us from worry, allowing us to focus on the things that truly matter and to live with a peaceful heart, knowing that our Heavenly Father cares for us. Finally, prayer and trust in God are not just a one-time fix, but a continual process. The peace that comes through prayer and trust in God is a lifelong journey. We must daily commit ourselves to prayer, seeking God's presence and trusting in His plan. When we fall into worry or fear, we must remind ourselves of God's promises and return to Him in prayer. Through this daily practice, we begin to experience a deeper, more lasting peace that withstands the storms of life. In conclusion, inner peace is not something we can achieve through our own strength or effort. It comes through a deep and abiding relationship with God, through prayer and trust in His care. When we surrender our anxieties, listen to His voice, forgive others, and trust in His provision, we open ourselves to the peace that surpasses understanding. Prayer is not just a means of seeking help, it is the gateway to a transformed heart, one that rests in the peace of God, knowing that He holds all things in His hands.
I know you think you're the man of the hour. I know you think I'm a delicate flower, but I'm here to tell you I'ma take back the power. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. Bring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Doctor gave you diagnosis, turns out you're just hella nosy. You're always in my business, but this ain't a floral shop. I wish you would begonia, but you never seem to stop. So why don't you mind your own? You've been in the class too long. You singing the same damn song, time for you to move along. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. I know you think you're the man of the hour. I'm a delicate flower, but I'm here to tell you I'ma take back the power. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. Why you stressing all the time? Stop and give the roses a smell. There's so much more to life than trying to give everybody hell. You used to make me laugh a little, you used to be so silly. Now one day you're a daffodil, the next day you're a lily. Your two lips short you a lot of flap. You should close them like a Venus flytrap. I don't wanna hear what you said. I don't want your weeds in my bed. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. I know you think you're the man of the hour. I know you think I'm a delicate flower, but I'm here to tell you I'ma take back the power. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. stressing all the time? Stop and give the roses a smell. There's so much more to life than trying to give everybody hell. You used to make me laugh a little, you used to be so silly. Now one day you're a daffodil, the next day you're a lily. Your tulips sure do a lot of flap. You should close them like a Venus flytrap. I don't wanna hear what you said. I don't want your weeds in my bed. I like to dip my fries in sweet and sour. I know you think you're the man of the hour. I know you think I'm a delicate flower, but I'm here to tell you I'ma take back